SMT Nation, we back. Thanks for tuning into this video. We're going to do a deep dive into the SMT HQ, how the carriers are doing. Just to get you guys caught up, if you haven't been able to catch all the videos and all the content dating back to the beginning of the summer, pretty much all three carriers, and now actually four of them, are well represented within a mile, about zero point 0.9, zero point 0.8, maybe 1 mile away from the SMT HQ, and they've all done upgrades. All right, so serving the SMTHQ, Dish has just built a site. All right, I've been testing that. I've got video content coming for that. Uh, Verizon did an upgrade. Uh, their their upgrade consists actually of two parts, and I'll explain what happened. AT&T did an upgrade. It felt like forever for it to finally go live, and it did after a long time. For whatever reason, it was hung up. And then T-Mobile did their upgrade. And actually, T-Mobile was first. But let me show you guys some testing I did last night, just some speed testing. And we'll look at the performance of each of the carriers and see how they're doing respective to my serving cells. Okay, so here is a test from 8. This was 11 p.m. in the evening. This is my Google Pixel 6 Pro. All right, Verizon 5G ultra wideband, upper right hand corner. This is N77. This is a 60 megahertz channel. And I think it's also aggregating with a few LTE channels as well. So you got 462 on the down and you got 82 on the up, 24 ping, 1 jitter. That's a very steady, consistent, reliable connection, and it's got plenty of throughput, downlink and uplink. I think the uplink especially notable because just last week at the same time I was getting about 60 megabits per second, and prior to that I was getting about 30 or 40 megabits. So the connection continues to improve. I'm not sure how much improvement is left, obviously, until they widen the channels with more C-band as that clears in 2023. And actually, it might happen actually in Q4. We'll see if Verizon early clears the rest of the spectrum here in Cleveland. And then, of course, they need an update for the Samsung radio gear to be able to take advantage of more than 60 megahertz. But that's your 5G ultra wideband. All right, here is your LTE test right below it. And the reason why this is important is because I was not getting these speeds before. Just at some point this week, I think they upgraded and added cbrs radios and antennas. So now, from that about 1 mile range, I'm getting cbrs, which is a low power channel, right? Which is band 48 LTE. And what they're doing is they are doing 40 megahertz of cbrs, and then they'll aggregate it with like 20 megahertz of band 66 and 5 megahertz of band 2. All right, so 247 down, 55 up, 5 jitter, 38 ping. You will see that the ping's a little bit higher than the 5G. All right, so there is a difference between 5G and LTE for sure. That'll be more substantial once we get to standalone 5G networking. But you'll see, I mean, this upgrade, and by the way, this is a win in two ways. LTE is winning, right? You're getting upgrades on the LTE side for people that don't have 5G devices or legacy devices, right? And then you're getting 5G upgrade with lots of spectrum, and a win here because the band 48 is reaching almost a mile from the tower site. It's a tall site, I will admit, but CBRS does have some range if you can get it up nice and tall. But the signal quality you could see is not the best, right? 247 down. If this was a cleaner signal, you're probably looking at 400 or 500 megabits per second. All right, but it's a little bit distant, and it's tough for that downlink to get there. So that's the Verizon. They're killing it here. Their upgrade is the best here at the SMTHQ. Okay, here is the T-Mobile testing. This is 5G UC from the same exact spot where I tested the Verizon from. The tower site is also just about a mile away, maybe slightly under. That's why I kind of give the range of like 0.8 or zero point 0.9. I know it's about a mile. You'll see a ping time of 80 milliseconds. You'll see a jitter of 9 milliseconds, 257 megabits down, 1.99 megabits up. All right, so the problem here, folks, I'm okay with the downlink not being incredibly fast. I know that people show amazing throughput and downlink on T-Mobile's 5G UC, but for the most part, most of their sites here, this is the type of connection I'll get on the low end, and then on the high end, I'll get things like 5, 6, 700 megabits down. So I'm okay with this. This is plenty of downlink. Nobody's going to be disappointed that they're only getting 257 down. But the uplink is atrocious given how much spectrum is on air on this connection. You got 20 megahertz of band 2, you got 20 megahertz of band 66, you have 100 megahertz on 41, and this is going to be your uplink. The RF on this site, just something is wrong. I don't know what it is. In fact, this N41 connection has regressed. It continues to get worse over time. And this is late at night. I don't know what's going on here. I speculated that maybe people were adopting the 5G home internet for T-Mobile, but I don't think so. I can't imagine it being too substantial of a strain, only because so many people here have the option of like Cox Communications as well as AT&T Fiber, and I believe that there are parts of town that also have Spectrum. So I don't know how much home internet could be doing this, and at a time of the night, I just don't know. Here's the LTE connection, same spot, 38 ping, 3 jitter. It's a much more consistent, steady, and reliable connection. 154 down, so it's a little bit slower on the downlink, but you have a much better uplink. It's about 3 times better. So if I was doing video calls, if I was uploading content, if I was live streaming, I would want to be on LTE in this instance because the gains you're getting in downlink aren't meaningful. 150 down, 220 down, who cares, right? Maybe if you were downloading like an episode or a movie of your or an episode of your favorite show or whatever, but like for other things, you're going to need more uplink than 1.99 megabits per second. So this site has progressively got worse. I'm not sure if they have made adjustments that have altered the RF and the performance has been negatively impacted at the HQ. All right, so that's what's going on there with T-Mobile, and then here's the 5G plus from AT&T. We got 234 down, 6.84 on the up. We got a 15 jitter and a 26 ping. The ping's not bad. The jitter a little high, but it's fine. The 6.84 uplink a little low. That's very similar to what T-Mobile had on their LTE test you just saw. The 234 down puts it right on par with like the T-Mobile downlink. And this is a 40 megahertz channel of N77. And I'm a little disappointed. I waited a long time for the site to be turned on and optimized, and it has disappointed me a little bit. I was expecting more. And the reason, and this is actually, this kind of coincides with the T-Mobile testing too. These sites are newly upgraded. These sites have a lot of new spectrum, a lot of new radio gear. You would just expect them to be better. And again, I'm not too down on the downlink. I'm very much down on the uplink. It should be better than this, folks. It's just not very good. It's usable, but you're talking about 5G plus here. We're talking about N77. We're talking about C-band. And we know how legendary AT&T is with all their channel aggregation, right? They got all these different channels. They got lots of spectrum and band 2 and band 30 and band 29 and da-da-da, all these bands. You would just expect more, So that's where I'm at with that. I'm disappointed that the companies with the most spectrum and the most channels to aggregate are doing the poorest at the SMTHQ, given all the conditions being so similar. Here's the LTE speed test. The downlink cut in half. The uplink a little bit more, 8.6 megabits per second. Downlink 113. Ping time's pretty close at 29 millisecond and jitters at 11. Not a bad connection. It's fine. It's serviceable. Again, I'm not saying that the AT&T connections are awful. I'm just saying that they are underwhelming. They're not inspiring confidence in the engineering side of things. So if I have to evaluate this objectively, folks, and you could do the same. You saw the numbers, right? We're testing on iPhones. We're testing on Pixels. I use these connections very consistently. You could use all of these connections, regardless of which carrier you had, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. I totally agree they're all serviceable. But in my opinion, I think the AT&T and the T-Mobile upgrades are the most disappointing. Their tower site that they're on is very tall, and it's very close. It's less than a mile, about a mile. And it's kind of the same thing for Verizon. So the Verizon tower, I think, is just good engineering, and all the obstacles and all the barriers that could be preventing Verizon from having a connection, they're overcoming. It's just a better connection. So at my house, at the SMT HQ, Verizon is best serving for my use. My fiber went down for an hour recently, and the Verizon 5G ultra wideband hotspot held down multiple TVs, laptops, iPads, and phones, and everything. I also did it with FirstNet. I mean, you can do it. So, and look, I'm not trying to say that this is what it's going to be for you. It's not what this video was about. This video was about all three carriers blessing the SMTHQ with upgrades, and one of the carriers is regressing and getting worse with time. One of the carriers is disappointing me just because it's not as good as I thought it would be, and one of them continues to improve and make the connection better. And I'm still holding out hope that the others can improve, but this is just what I'm seeing in my experiences. I'm not telling you which carrier to use. I'm not telling you who's better. I'm just showing you what these upgrades can look like and how they can perform. And, when I look at things like root metric scores and I look at people's testimonies and they tell me about, engineering in their area, I mean, these are factors to consider. It's, you look like the the T-Mobile site that neighbors me is great. It gets 700 down and it gets like 60 up, my neighboring cell. So I know that they can do good networking. They could do good engineering. I'm just seeing inconsistencies. Same thing with AT&T. The neighboring cell does like 450 megabits down and it does like 78 megabits per second up. They're capable of it. It's just the serving cell, for whatever reason, at the SMTHQ, this is what's happening. Just my experiences. I wanted to share them with you guys. And again, I will track this at a later time. I will give you guys updates. We'll see if things improve. We'll see if they revisit these sites to address issues, improve gear, optimize and things of that nature. They're going to widen channels. AT&T is going to add more N77 soon. Verizon will be adding more N77 soon. They just added the CBRS. You guys see the benefits there. And and T-Mobile is going to hopefully upgrade, make upgrades as well. They've got PCS that they can play with. They've got more N41. Hopefully they can start aggregating. We could start seeing the 2-channel N41 or the N71 N41 combo. I'd like to see how that performs. All right, so there's stuff up and coming, but stay tuned for more content here on the channel as I test these networks and give you guys my objective commentary on what I'm seeing and my experiences. Comment down below. You all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Like, share, subscribe for more. Turn on the bell notification icon to never miss an upload. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.